Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Vero Engineering Synapse. Now, before I go any further in this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you guys the content. And giveaways, there are giveaways coming, mark my words. Now, with that being said, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length of 7.35 inches, a blade length coming in at 3.2 inches with a cutting edge right around 3.25 inches, a blade width of 1 inch with a blade thickness coming in at 0.14, with that blade steel being M390, a drop point blade with a pretty thin flat grind, a handle length coming in at 4.12 inches with a handle thickness at 0.60 inches, and I measured that right at the deepest point of the clip, so 0.6. I think it goes up to like 0.75 is the specs I saw, something like that. So not too bad. We'll get to that in Ergos. Got a little to say. We have a handle width coming in at 1 inch with a handle material of some very nice carbon fiber, that good old cross cut that Vero does a pretty good job with. And we have a tip-up right-hand only user carry with a weight coming in at 3.25 ounces and a price of $380. So this one's going to hit the wall a little. It's not a cheap knife. Now let's take a look at some size comparisons. And yeah, that clip gives you all sorts of problems, even with size comparisons. All right, let's check out some Spyderco's here. We have the Spyderco Spidey Chef, as well as the Spyderco Smock. So as you can see, it is obviously a little shorter than both of the featured Spydercos we have here. And actually, these next two will probably give everybody the perfect idea, and they really are the two best size comparisons for this knife, at least for what I have in my collection anyway. We have the Benchmade Bug Out, and we have the Ferrum Forge Stinger. The camera is just not giving good angles today. So as you can see, it's actually very comparable in overall length to the Benchmade Bug Out. The Bug Out is much thinner though. The Synapse. Yeah, the Synapse, that's what we're talking about. The Synapse is definitely a bit thicker knife. But let's get into this blade, because it's a pretty basic blade. At least it's very basic on the show side, has a very nice touch of Vero on the clip side, and it is very slicey on both sides. We have a behind the edge reading on this blade of 14 thousandths. That is a slicey blade, and when we're talking 14 thousandths, guys, in all honesty, I don't care if it's a flat grind or if it is a hollow grind. I'm gonna like it regardless. A flat grind is just gonna add a little more strength to that blade, so that's always a good thing too. This blade is plenty slicey enough. Two things that I always love: some very nice jimping and a very good sharpening choil. Very nice compliment to this blade. The jimping feels good in hand, and I think the idiot on this motorcycle is just driving circles around my house. Good lord. Go make your noise somewhere else. I do still like the milled out area on this blade. Not quite as much as the Axon. We'll talk a little more about that when we get to the action of this guy. But one thing I do like for the deployment is how they designed this flipper tab with some very, very nice jimping. This is just a very enjoyable flipper tab. I'll talk more about that in action as well. And when you flip this blade out, you have ergos that are, in all honesty, still really not that great. They're better. The ergos on this knife are better than the Axon, but they're still not enjoyable to me, and it is all because of this clip. Now, before I go into hammering this clip again, I do want to emphasize that, in my opinion, this does feel better than the Axon. It does, because that horrendous ramp that comes up to this point here, it falls in a different point in my hand. It kind of falls, it's like right in here. So instead of, as to where the Axon was like pushing right on, I can't remember I think it was like my middle callus, it was pushing like right on there, definitely creating a hot spot. This falls in between. Now, that's a good thing and a bad thing. Bad things I can still feel, and it's still pretty annoying. But the good thing is there's a little more room there. There's a little more little more soft tissue area to where it doesn't feel quite as bad to me, but it just still doesn't feel that great. Another thing that really, I think, hurts this knife a lot is how long this clip is in comparison to the actual handle. The clip to handle ratio is basically, yeah, it's half the length of the handle. I don't ever like that on a knife. I don't care what it is. I always prefer the clip to be either a quarter or a third. Ideally, I think a third. You bring the clip down a little more, it hides better. It kind of sits better in just that open area of your palm. You don't feel it as much. Obviously, this goes halfway up the handle, so you feel that a lot. And of course, with this just crazy ramp that is not chamfered that well at the end, it just does not feel good. So ergos aren't the best on this guy. What I do like about these handles, though, I really like the profile of this knife in general, from the blade to the handle. It just looks good when it's open, and it looks even better, or not even better, it looks just as good closed. Looks great. I don't necessarily like the black blade, but again, that's not really here or there when it comes to the actual profile, because we're just talking about the outline of it, and I think it looks very attractive, very simple and clean. I like that a lot. I also like the bolster. I am a fan of bolsters in general, and there's very few knives that can have bolsters that I don't think look pretty good, so like that a lot. I also really like the lock bar access on this knife. They have milled out a lot here, making it very easy to get in there and just close the blade. So really like that, appreciate that. There's anytime you do a good job of that, it's going to make the knife considerably, and I mean considerably more enjoyable in my opinion, because if you're a fidgeter with your knives like me, you're going to be doing a lot of that, and it's just very, very easy to access. Really love that. I also really like this crosscut carbon fiber. I'm going to say it again. We don't see enough of it. I wish the actual grain of the carbon fiber was a little more visible. You have to really get in there and look to see the lines, but you can see them there. They're definitely there. Get a little light shine on them and you see them. But regardless, I do like that. I just wish the lines were a little more pronounced, a little more popped a little more, I guess. But one last thing I have to say about this clip, and I didn't mention this on the Axon, and that was my bad. As a reviewer, I need to build a little more consistency with this, because I say it a lot. I didn't point it out on the Axon though. This V, it's got to go. You know, Vero, this is the biggest compliment I can give Vero Engineering, is they do a phenomenal, and I mean phenomenal job of marketing, designing their products, and standing out from the competition. They are unique. When you see a Vero, you know it's a Vero. You absolutely know it. Any knife they make, you know it's a Vero. So you don't need, especially when you have a black clip, you just really don't need black clip, black carbon fiber, you got all this, and then boom, this loud white V with Vero there. To me, that's just kind of obnoxious. But this is great. I love the way they it's not bland, it's actually pretty attractive. I love the way they brand their blade. It's just really nice. It reminds me of that Ray Laconico style. I like that a lot. I like the change up in font and the vertical flow. It's really, really good. And when the knife's closed, you see it. It's everywhere. It's a great way to mark a blade, and I love that, but this is just too much. I really wish they'd get rid of that. This would look so much better with just a full black clip. It would look great. Or if you have to put that on there, you know, maybe a glossy black, something like that, to where it's just really hidden, but it's there. I would rather it not be there at all, but regardless, the way it sits right there is it's just annoying, in all honesty, just annoying. But on to the action. The action on this guy is not bad. The two main forms of deployment are the middle finger, as you can see right here. That's the problem. The middle finger flip. The detent is weak on this one, considerably. Now, one thing that really saves this knife from me saying the action is, you know, not that great to where it is still decent, is this flipper tab. Like I said, the way this flipper tab is designed, it feels really good, and it really helps kind of make up for that weak detent because of all the energy you build right here. I'll call it energy, yeah, because the way you're pushing down on the flipper, it's such an immediate creator of force to push the blade out. I mean, it does fly out. So even with a weak detent, the flipper really does make the action enjoyable on this knife. But it does kind of kill the middle finger flick. You can still do it, but people that really enjoy middle finger flicking know what I'm about to. They're about to understand what I'm going to say. You know, even though that looks good, it doesn't feel as good because that nice crisp detent on a middle finger flick, it really makes the action of a knife perfect and super enjoyable. And in my opinion, for $380, it should absolutely have a better detent so you can enjoy that middle finger flick a little more. Obviously, I'm doing it pretty easy, not that much of a problem, but I want that crisper detent. I want that little bit of a stronger detent because then the flipper would be even better. You'd have that extra little bit of bite and thwack, and you would also enjoy the middle finger flick better. I mean, like I said, you can do it, but it's also the milled out area here is a little more cramped. Now, that's just kind of the nature of the knife, right? It's a bit smaller than the Axon, so I guess I kind of assumed that. I kind of figured it was coming, so I'm not really complaining about that. That's not necessarily a drawback, but it's just something you'll want to know is that that milled out area is a little harder to get to, but still very accessible. We're not talking like trying to middle finger flick a Spidey chef. I mean, it's still very accessible. I think just about anyone that has any aptitude of middle finger flicking ability can do it. So I don't think that's that big of a deal, but it is worth noting. So with all that being said, you know, overall thoughts on this guy, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. I don't dislike it. I don't hate it. But for $380, I'm left wanting a little more. And I really think just a couple small improvements, change this clip and a little stronger detent, and that would really make it for me. Those would be the two improvements that would, especially with the clip, that would really push it over for me into where I guess I could swallow a $380 price. But I also, and this is completely just my personal preference, I'm not a big fan of the black blade. I would still rather see a satin or a stone washed. But regardless, that's not really here nor there. That's kind of just my personal taste. But no, really the clip and the weak detent for $380. Vero can do better. They can do better. I know they're making a change on the clip to an upcoming model, which really is one of the most attractive models I've seen from him. I can't even think of the name of it right now. It's not coming to me, but I am following that. I may try and get on that one because I think it does look really, really good. And he changed that flipper tab, so I'm really excited about that. I hope it works because I really want to get on this Vero train. But so far, with what I've seen from Vero, I'm not floored. I'm still trying to figure out where all the hype is generated from. But again, to those that are out there that love it, I can see why you love it. I can, because there's a lot about this knife that I do like. It's just it doesn't come full circle for me. Not yet. I really hope it does, and I think it very well could, because I think I think what I've seen from Vero so far has been, they're making the right improvements. They definitely have a keen eye for design. So I'm still a little excited for future Vero products coming out, even with the experiences I've had. So let me know what you guys think. Have you handled this knife? What do you think of it? What other Vero products have you checked out that you really enjoy? Let me know. Look forward to hearing your guys' thoughts on this one. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.